Hey everybody, my name is Shadow Phoenix. Welcome back to another episode of my Planet Coaster Let's Build series. I want to thank everybody for tuning in week after week as I've been basically building on this park. Those who don't know, I have been building on this park since the release of Planet Coaster. It's still, I would say, at least 2 months away from being finished, but we are getting closer to at least finishing this area of the park. It's more or less just kind of a little area down here where I decided to do a log flume. Basically in today's time lapse build, what we were going to do is build the station for our log flume. Now, stations are hard, in my opinion. It's what I have the most trouble with because you have to come up with a really good theme, and you want to make it detailed. You want to make it unique, something colorful, basically. Something that attracts people to go there. Because let's face it, the station is basically, it's pretty much the first part of the ride that you're going to be in. Everything is kind of revolving around that station. You're going to be spending a lot of time there. Most of the time, you spend more time in the station than you do on the actual ride itself. Now, a lot of the station was inspired to me by the Planet Bro Coaster series and Ryan's log flume that he had done. I talked a little bit about this in the walkthrough, and you guys who have watched the walkthrough of the park, the latest one I just did, you've seen a lot of the log flume station as it is already. So I kind of did this series a little backwards, but I really wanted to get that video in there just to kind of show basically what I'd done and everything. And I've noticed I'm saying basically a whole lot. Stations are the hardest part that I have with the game. They really are. For this one, I didn't want to do just a square building. I wanted to do something kind of cool. So I decided we would do more of an L-type shape of a building. And I left part of the actual station kind of open air, because with the log flume, it's not multi-loading. You don't have a train that you're loading, so there's not a whole lot of people waiting in one part of the line. Instead, they just get onto one at a time. So we really didn't need to use all of that, the whole station there for that. So I decided we would use some of it more kind of open, and we would just kind of put this ramshackle kind of addition to like a timber mill kind of thing. Now, when I think of log flumes, that's the thing that I think of most is actually timber mills. Sawmills, basically, for those who, they have different names. But yeah, sawmills is the first thing I think of. As I do, I believe most people would consider that the first thing they think of with log flumes. And that's what I decided to go with on this as well. So the trouble was trying to find an alpine themed and how to make it look alpine without making it look western or rustic or anything like that. We really wanted to kind of a Swiss, Bavarian, French timber mill. So I started researching on Google. I started looking up pictures. I didn't find a whole lot. I found a couple that had elements that I liked. So what I decided in the end to do was just kind of combine certain elements of that into one. And that's kind of how this one came about. I also found somebody had done this really cool sawmill on the workshop. I apologize once again because I do not know who it was that did it, but it was really neat. And I decided to take that and kind of make some of the parts use the actual working sawmill in my own. You also saw me kind of placing down, I was trying to do like a tower on one side and just kind of have it separate from the building and have a platform with this like lifting crane tower on it. And then I also wanted to use a water mill, but all of the ideas that I had were kind of running too far together. It wasn't working for me. So I moved the water tower over to the queue line so that when the guests are walking in the queue line, when they come into the entrance to the queue line, they walk around the water tower and then they go over top of the actual flume itself, which is, again, from Planet Coaster. So a few things that I took from their design and kind of made it my own. And then you got the sawmill here. So what I ended up doing was taking the tower and putting it on top of the building instead. And then, making it part of the building, and then I just put it on top of the building. And I thought that looked a whole lot better than having it separate and everything. Except at that point it started to look like a church, so I had to do even more detail work. I thought the tower, originally I started with a wooden foundation and wooden walls and stuff, but I really thought, you know what, let's separate this building, these two buildings I should say, apart from each other. So you have this one thing that looks it's got a metal roof, Looks like it was kind of built later on, like just an addition. And then we have the stone part, which is the actual main sawmill, so to speak. I thought the stone walls would be more sturdy, more stronger, and would hold up the tower and stuff better, and I thought that was just a much better idea. And I wanted to get them kind of a light grayish color. It was difficult to do that, so I had to find just the right colors, and then you got to paint, all of them to get the right effect, and it's just a pain in the butt. I really wish we had the paintbrush tool like we had in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, where you could just select a color and then just paint the pieces that you wanted to paint that color. That would be awesome. Unfortunately, we don't have that, so not something we can really do. I also decided just to give it more to it, we would add this other kind of wooden building on top of it, like an attic area, or just, just to kind of give it a more shape. And that's when when I added this last part right here, that's when the building really started to kind of come out and be its own and actually look really, really cool and not look like a church. It was actually starting to look more industrial, which was the look I was going for. And somehow or another, I still ended up getting that alpine look that I was actually going for as well. Now, what you just saw me doing there was I wanted to put kind of this, like an upper barn door kind of thing, like a trap door up in the top of this area here, or this section of the building. But I couldn't find anything I really wanted to do with that. I was trying out the trowels. So there's these wooden trowels, like feeding things, and I turned them sideways, and that was looking really, really, really good. Like, that would have been perfect, except they were just a little too big, kind of what I wanted. And then I stumbled across the notice board, and the notice board was much better, so I went that route. We also sunk a sign into it, and originally that was just going to be temporary. I was just going to actually put the name of the actual ride up there, but it kind of stuck, so I ended up just not changing that. And I just take a sign. It's a trick that most, the good designers know at this point. A trick of most of you guys should have figured out by now. You can take these signs and sink them into certain things, and the way the alpha texture is done with the actual font, it kind of sticks out slightly. It's a little hard to do. You got to be really careful on how you're placing it, but it can be done with most of the signs. Then I went down to the bottom and I decided to put some more foundation down there on the stone and kind of give it a little more detail. We repainted the top of the building. We repainted a lot of the actual building, actually. Added some barrels and some other things as detail around the building. And that is pretty much all we did. The rest of the video is just basically building the rest of the queue station. Again, the section on the back, which, people, they go around, they enter, they go around the water tower, they go up some stairs over top of the actual ride itself, where the ride exits, or, actually begins, I should say, underneath of it, and you walk over the start of the Log Flume. That was a really cool idea. I shout out again to Bro Coaster for that. It's not really something that Bro Coaster came up with. I've seen it on a lot of different rides and stuff, but I even have done it a couple of times on some other things. Like you walk over on Thunder Run, you walk over the track on that one. The Alpine Curse, my invert, is going to have something very similar to that as well. It seems to be a running theme that I'm kind of actually doing in this park, and it's, coming in a little stagnant. So I'm going to try to keep from doing that in the next few things that I'm building, but we'll just have to see how that works out. Because I do like a lot of interaction between the queue line, the people, a lot of nice views and stuff that you can see of the ride before you actually get on it, that kind of stuff. And I like for my stuff to interact with other things as well, other rides, etc. That's pretty much the rest of this video, like I said. Just the little details of the station, building more of the queue line, and then we actually get into doing the rock and the terraforming, the tree lines, all the rest of that stuff, and that's pretty much going to be the rest of the video. So for now, I am going to just go ahead and go into the rest of that, some nice, calm Planet Coaster music, because the soundtrack is really, really good. Also, I just want to give a shout out to my very first Patreon. I finally got my first Patreon subscriber. He's one of my Twitch viewers, so, shout out to Alfacough. Thank you so much for your donation and your subscription on Patreon. Anybody else who would like to support me on Patreon, the link is down below. Not required. definitely not going to beg you. If you do want to support me, though, go ahead and click that button down below. And, you know, anything from $1 on up. Every little bit helps. It goes towards computer stuff, things like that, to help make my videos better. Right now, I'm actually saving for a new video card, and I'm also wanting to get a digital camera so I can do some more cool videos and stuff with that as well. So, you know, all Patreons, that's, you know, I try to do a little bit on my Patreon page for just people who are supporters. The more I get, the more I'm going to be doing on that. Exclusive videos, exclusive screenshots, things like that. So that's just talking about that. And again, one more time, thanks Alfacough for being my first Patreon. Very, very much appreciate that. I hope you like the shout out. You can also find me on my, well, if you're not a follower here on YouTube, definitely click that button. Subscribe to me here so you can see more of the building process. If you want to see the live builds, I'm usually on most all day on Saturdays. You can check me out on Twitch. I also play during the week as well, about 3 times during the week and on Saturdays, but Planet Coaster builds are usually on Saturdays. So check me out on Twitch, follow me here on YouTube, subscribe to me here. You can also check out my Twitter account as well for exclusive pictures, things like that. Just little updates and find out what's going on basically in my little part of the world. So that is Shadow. I am signing out. I'm going to leave you guys with the rest of this video. I do hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for being followers for those people who are my YouTube subscribers. I'm up to 320 now. Let's make it 500, guys. Come on, we can do it. 500 subscribers. Those of you who are my subscribers, make shout outs, tweet me out, let other people know that you like my videos. Let's get that 500 mark. We can do it. I know you guys can help me do it too. So let's do that. That's what I'm aiming for right now, is just trying to get more subscribers on my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Same thing I say on my Twitch channel before I leave. Wherever you are in the world, good night, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning.